Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Jennifer Shahade, three-time national chess champion. I'm here with my son, Fabian. Today, what do you want to talk about?
Coin.
Well, we're in luck. Today, we have one of the cheapest chess sets in existence, Fabian. The rooks are nickels, that's 10 cents. You have 8 pawns each, that's 8, plus 2 nickels. And then we've got the knights, we've got the bishops worth 4 cents each, plus a dime is 42, plus a quarter is what? What's 42 plus 25?
67!
It's 67 cents each side. Hello, this is a $1.34 chess set. And how do we tell whose side is whose?
Mine is heads and yours is
Tails, exactly. So I'm tails. Heads, you win. Tails, I lose. Uh-oh. Let's go. Be careful. So Fabian, I have some fun trivia based on something I learned from Ken Rogoff, the Grandmaster, economist, Harvard professor, and best-selling author. So the question is, which coin do you think represents the largest percentage of value in coins in America? Would you rather have all the pennies in the country or all the quarters in the country? Even though there are fewer quarters, because they're worth 25 times more, the penny, and more than any other coin, the value of the quarters in circulation is higher than any other coin. In The Curse of Cash, and in his more recent book, Our Dollar, Your Problem, Ken mentions that even though we rarely see $100 bills, they actually represent the large percentage of value in dollars because they're worth so much more that we almost never see $100 bills, which is super interesting to me.
It's
that
not interesting to me. Yes, it is actually.
Now we're going to take a look at one of my favorite games from Ken Rogoff. But let's use a traditional set for this one. So Ken Rogoff was playing white in this game in the U.S. Junior Championship, and he played e4, and then his opponent played this move. Do you like that one?
I hate it.
I don't like the Carol card much either. So.
I hate it too. Mr. Spectator is unhappy.
All right, d5, knight c3, and now g6 was played. And now after knight f3, bishop g7, Ken played a move that it might seem a little strange at first. He played the move h3. Why do you think he plays the move h3, Fab?
To block the bishop from going here.
Yeah.
Let's go!
Let's
go!
Yeah, it's actually relatively annoying to see bishop g4 because sometimes the pressure on this pawn can be quite irritating. So, indeed, he played h3, and now black played pawn takes e4. Now after knight takes e4, knight d7, c3, knight gf6, knight takes f6, trade one pair of bishop c4, black castled, and now white castles as well.
That's my favorite move!
And now you can kind of see that the reason for h3 makes a lot of sense because there's not that many amazing squares for this bishop to go to. Black chose to play queen to c7. And now we see queen e2, b6, bishop g5, bishop g5, b5, attacking the bishop, bishop b3, a5, looking to kind of continue to annoy this bishop. And after a3, we see the move bishop a6. What is black trying to do with this move, bishop a6, Fab?
Lay here?
Yeah, I think he's trying to discover an attack and actually a skewer on the queen and rook. Now, this will not be the end of the world because white could block the skewer with bishop c4 or c4, but Ken didn't really want to even do any kind of concession. So he just played the move rook to e1 here, rook on f to e1, attacking this pawn e6. Now played. Now I have a question for you, Fab. So Fabian, in this position, what do you think of the move bishop takes f6? Yay, nay, and why or why not?
Hey, nay.
Okay, why do you not like taking that knight off? Let's talk. A lot of kids and new players of all ages play moves like bishop takes f6 because they have what I call trade-itis, which means they're just so keen to trade pieces. And that's one of the reasons in the coin game that we created at the beginning of this, I made the bishop worth 4 pennies and the knight worth 3 pennies. Now, of course, the bishop is not that much better than the knight, and there are a lot of positions where it's correct to trade a bishop for a knight. But on average, the bishop is almost the same as the knight. It's only a little bit better. But I did that 4-3 as a way of kind of reminding us that we should always have a reason when we trade a bishop for a knight. Do we have a reason here? No, there is no good reason here. In fact, this bishop is very powerful as both a potential attacker and certainly as a defender of these weak squares around the king. So this move, I bet, didn't even cross Ken's mind. Unless there's some tactical justification for it, he does not want to take this. Now, he did play a very interesting move here, though, which is also based on a trade. He played the move queen to e5. What do you think of that move? Because anytime you offer queen trade in chess, you really got to think it through.
I think it's a 9.0.11999 out of 10.
So you really like this move? Well, I like the move too. I think it's a very good move. Inviting a trade of queens by black. So let's see what happens. Black did indeed take with the queen. And now, as white, which piece would you recapture with? You have 3 options.
The pawn.
Okay, the pawn is, I think, what a lot of young people and new players would choose because it's very concrete. We're attacking the knight and we're opening up a file.
I too because I'm a pawn.
But the problem with this move is that it's not quite as strong as what happened in the game, partly because we can play knight d5 and improve the position of our knight. You don't really want to take it, and also this pawn here could potentially become a weakness later in the game. And there's no very clear follow-up here that gives white a good position. So good try, but the correct move in this position, by the way, rook takes e5, I would say, doesn't really make much sense at all because we're putting our rook into a discovery attack. So I wouldn't even probably look at that one very much. Now, here's a question. If we play knight takes e5, what's our threat? It's a bit of a trick question. Yeah, so we're threatening knight takes e6. Okay. But what else are we threatening? Like suppose black were to play rook c8 or bishop b7 defending this. Think about forcing moves here. What's white's threat now? That's a very interesting idea, but because they can take with a rook, it's a little bit speculative because then after bishop takes e6, it's definitely worth looking at, I'm not gonna lie. So besides the move knight takes e6, what else do you consider here? Whoa, bishop takes f6, but a move ago I said that this was a bad move because we talked about how the bishop on g5 was better than the knight on f6, but what has changed? What can white do now? Now white has a very strong move that we did not have earlier. What's white's strong move here? Yeah, bingo, baby. And now we're threatening the rook and the bishop, and we're going to win in exchange because it would be better for black to move away the bishop and give up the rook, but of course white will then be winning. So this is actually a really important example of the principle that in chess you can't be dogmatic. Dogmatic means that you can't believe one thing and never change your mind about it. Like, bishops are always better than knights, and I will never take a knight with my bishop, right? Because in this case, it's correct to do so. Bishop takes f6, right? And then we have this little fork. So very nice little idea there. And that is actually a big reason why Ken decided to trade queens, because he realized that, you know, in this position with the queens on the board, bishop takes f6, knight d5 would not be possible, like if we put a knight there and try to go there, because the queen would be defending it. But without queens on the board, it opens up that opportunity. But black did see that idea. So he played rook on f to c8 to defend the c-pawn, thinking that now bishop f6, knight d7 doesn't work anymore because, well, we should actually look at that because it looks like it might work at first. Because we are threatening the bishop and we're threatening to play knight b6, forking these two rooks. But what does black have here to stop the fork? Beautiful, beautiful move. And that's kind of a move that's kind of easy to overlook in variations, in my opinion, because it's a
backward.
Yeah, those backward moves can be a little tricky. But actually, I think black would be doing quite well here. This knight is kind of like, oh, what am I doing here? So, okay, that was not what Ken played. Because, as I discussed in my book that came in, Thinking Sideways, it's all about looking for different possibilities, not just the most obvious one. So what do you think Ken Rogoff had in mind here? that would be super interesting if this was here, because then we would be able to take advantage of the pin. And it's actually a very important motif in these types of positions. Very, very nice idea. But the rook is here, not here. So that would we would just trade, and that would be helping black alleviate the pressure on their position. What should white do instead? Knight takes f7. Boom. Yeah, that's a good move. That's a good move. Now, after king takes f7, I have to say, most players, including me, the thing that my eyeball is drawn to here, shout out to Mr. Eyeball, is the obvious move here, which is what? Like, what do you start looking at here as white? Of course, bishop takes e6 check. And since I immediately start looking at this, because I got 2 pawns, and I'm going to get an exchange, and it's an endgame where the rooks are often a little bit better and pawns are worth more. So I'd start analyzing that and saying, like, is this good for me? But that said, looking at a long variation without stopping to see if there are stronger alternatives is something called tunnel vision. It's a big concept in my book, Thinking Sideways, that instead of going through this long variation, bishop takes e6, king f6, bishop takes c8 check, and all that, we slow down and say, wait a second, do we have something better right now?
The rook.
Woo! Rook takes e6, bingo baby! This is what was happening in the game. A much stronger move. Bishop takes e6 looks like a strong idea, but the truth is rook takes e6 is much stronger. And the reason is that now we're creating this pin, right? And so if it was white's move, we could play all sorts of nasty things like rook takes f6 check, right? Maybe there's something even better, but we're just totally clobbering them if it's our move. And they can't really get out that easily of the discovery. Like if you go king f8, if you go king g8, you're still in it. If you go king f8, this is hanging. Right? So it's actually a pretty tricky spot here for black. Now the most obvious move here, I will say, is the move knight to d5. This one could trip me up in analysis where you're like, oh, after knight d5, it looks like black has solved the day. Now rook e7 check makes a lot of sense, but remember the bishop's not on b7 right now. So after you play rook e7 check, I can just move away and I think I'm okay. But there's another move. I think you got it. Oh, that's a great idea, but there's also a bishop takes f6, not just a knight takes f6. How did Ken Rogoff intend to finish off this combination? Right now he's down a piece, and rook e7 check doesn't seem to quite get the job done.
Maybe.
Ah, rook takes e6, but now you're going to be down what, a whole rook or something? Bishop takes d5 check and you're winning the house. You're getting the piece back. And now on top of that, when this moves, you're also going to get a rook for free. Now you might ask, what about rook e6? But the problem is after rook e6, now what can white take? Yeah, full rook. Not just an exchange, full rook. Rook e1 wouldn't be as good because then rook e8. So this skewer of rooks sealed the deal. Very nice combination. Beautifully done. So knight d5, rook takes c6 is spectacular. Black saw that a little bit too late and played something different. He played knight to e8. So that was a very nice finish. There's even a faster finish, mate in 2. You start with something like rook e5 check, although rook anywhere should work. And now, when the king goes to f8, where's the mate? Bingo baby, I love it.
I'm gonna take my book to read, and I'm gonna take my book.
That one, that's the one. Well, you want that one.
I'm gonna take
They're
my
both
book to
amazing.
read, and I'm gonna walk away.
All right, enjoy it. Meanwhile, if you want to read my new book, Thinking Sideways: How to Think Like a Chess Player and Win at Life, don't forget to pre-order.